Frazier adding more numbers, more yards to those. Oh, they don't have him yet. Look at Tommy Frazier. How many tackles can one man break? Touchdown.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back into the Play the Fight Song fan perspective. Obviously, this is the Nebraska side, and we're here to talk about the bombing news drop of Trev Alberts today. Out of nowhere. It really felt like, you saw some names swirl around. You saw some rumors out there. They seemed far-fetched because he was so involved in the job that he was doing. Comes on the Huskers show last week, talks about all the good things going on with their women's and men's basketball teams, and then this. So let's open it up by talking about the pay structure that he's currently under, because when you hear Texas A&M, your first thought should automatically be, all right, how much are they paying this guy to make him go their way? Because that's just how they do things down there with that oil money, cult money, whatever you want to call it. It is what it is, but they're about to take Trev Alberts right from underneath Nebraska's nose. So it's unfortunate, but his pay structure that he's coming from, he signed a deal this past November, and it doubled his salary. He was an $800,000 employee, barely scraping by. Now he gets bumped up to $1.7 million a year. I'm pretty sure you can live comfortably in Lincoln with $1.7 million now. However, I've never been in the situation, so I can't say maybe it's not as comfortable as he'd like. But that seems more than enough to me. And not only that, but it included a stipulation where he would make $2.1 million starting in 2026. He was making the right moves. He had a positive rep with the fan base. In my book, he did. I mean, especially a guy who is at UNO, rival, sister school, ends the football program there, ends wrestling, things like that. There are a lot of these things tied to his back. And then he gets to Nebraska. Seems like he's making all the correct moves. Fans finally support him. And then now he's leaving for a paycheck. So I'll be interested to see what that paycheck says if we get a chance to. But it's just shocking news. I wonder what you're thinking. Drop a comment on why you think this move was made on his end. And then future targets, who knows, right? It's coaching. It's a little bit easier to tell because you know whose job is up in the air, who's looking to make a change. But this is such a personal decision when it comes to a business decision at the AD spot that you don't really know who's going to be next. In his time, he did things the right way. I'll say that. And, just last week he comes on Husker Online and it sounds like he's so invested in the program. Like I said, where he's talking about the success of the men's and women's basketball teams. He likes the direction that Matt Rule's going. Our collective is doing a good job besides the beef jerky in getting these kids adequately paid and getting us recruits that will improve the programs overall. But man, what a shock. And I wish I had more news to break other than I just want to open it up for a place to talk about it. But we're talking about a guy who's going to make $2.1 million in less than 800 days. And is making, I'm going to say more than enough. I mean, I know his job includes a lot of duties and tasks that most of us don't have, but he's getting compensated for it in a way that didn't really give him a reason to leave, in my opinion. So I'll be interested to see what that new contract is. It just seems like a blindside, and it felt like, I see a lot of people online saying it felt like everything was going too well. We have success among many things that we usually don't have success with. We got the quarterback we were looking for, which I'll do another video here. I haven't done an off-season video yet, breaking down the recruiting class, the schemes that they'd fit into, coaching changes, all that good stuff. But I wanted to focus on this today. It's just a gigantic news break on the side of Nebraska athletics. But overall, I want to hear what everybody's thinking. I mean, we lose our president of the school to Ohio State, who they were at a UNO game I was at a few weeks ago, which was weird. But we lose him to Ohio State. Now we're losing our AD to Texas A&M. The Ohio State one feels less to me, but with all the conversations that we broke down last night on the full show and the fight song, we talked about the revenue split. He'd be moving to the SEC. So as an athletic director in the SEC, he's going to receive most of, if not all, the same benefits that this college football playoff or maybe non-AA affiliated league would give them, because the Big Ten and the SEC are hand in hand. They're mom and dad in this discussion with the NCAA and the college football playoff on whether or not this is going to be a different sport moving forward. So it's weird. It's just all weird to me. And I feel like you can agree, but I just, as you can see, I'm kind of in total shock. Sorry if I'm not putting everything together so clearly, but I think this is everybody's initial reaction. This is 10 a.m. on a random Wednesday in March. Spring ball's been going good. Chasing three started. It feels like everything's going right. You got the Big Ten tournament starting here very soon for the men's league. The women's team made it to the championship. I just don't know what it had to have been money. It had to have been money. And Trev Alberts sits on a lot of those committees, college football playoff committee, a lot of like the player personnel committees, the school committees, the boards. He's on almost every one that you can name. So I'm wondering what those talks were in that room to be a fly on the wall, and that's with everything college football playoff based. But what's this makes me sort of start to think, what does the SEC have, right? Because we can't sit here and say, the Big Ten's not going to get as much as the SEC. I mean, these people and all of these talks and all of these media reports that we've gotten, the Big Ten and the SEC are the ones making the decisions. Now, how much is the SEC in that room creating that? And then it just goes hand in hand with the Big Ten. They say, yep, we're on board too, because we have a lot of power. But now, do they? I mean, to be on a floor wall would be very important, because maybe it would help gauge a better understanding of why he feels like Texas A&M is in a better spot on the football field than Nebraska is. I don't want to say they've been as bad as we've been, but it's not been great. It's sort of a similar situation down there. They just hire a new head coach and Mike Elko. But I can't comprehend the move, it is what it is at this point. And I won't sit here and ramble on. Hopefully I haven't been doing that too much, but I want to hear from you. We'll go back and forth on this. Hopefully I can make another piece of content, but it's just crazy to me that a guy that's this important to Nebraska, that finally gets in their good graces, is now on his way out. So it's tough. And I think it's a tough day for Nebraska fans, because we finally felt like we were in a better spot, definitely a better spot than we've been in the last 7 years. He comes on board. He didn't make the decision on Mike Riley. He didn't make the decision to fire Bo. So it's hard to wrap those things on him. And some people still are on the fire Bo train. I'm not giving you an opinion on that or where you should stand. It's so long ago. We got to kind of brush it away at this point anyway. But I like the direction we're headed with everything. So that's why I think this news sucks so much. So I think Trev Alberts on his way out is a big blow for Nebraska. And God knows the name we'll bring in. I can't initially think off of the top of my head who would be next in line or who he's going to take with him if he can. Brendan Stye is a guy who's been up there in those executive positions for a while. He represents the program pretty well outside of the hot mic that he had a few years back. So that's a name that I'm sure you'll see float around in-house wise, and he has Nebraska ties as well. We'll see. I feel like Trev did a really good job at keeping the Nebraska ties, alumni, things around. So we'll see how all that changes going forward. But thanks for joining us. Drop a comment, hit the subscribe button. We'll keep you all updated as news comes out. We'll open this forum as a fandom piece, kind of like a message board below, where we can talk through all things Nebraska. I'm going to get a video out here in the next couple of weeks talking about recruits, all the good stuff going on in the offseason. We'll break down Glenn Thomas's time with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll talk about Raiola's film, all that good stuff. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. This is the place for everything college football. Tune in to Play the Fight Song show. Happened last night. It's under the lives tab on this YouTube. And then follow us on all platforms at Play the Fight Pod. Just follow along with us. I'll take you through everything Nebraska. I'm excited about it. It's a passion. I think we all share it. If you're watching this video, you definitely share it. So hopefully we'll get a chance to talk soon, and go Big Red.